Last season, the NBA introduced for the first time a mini tournament before the playoffs to determine the lower seeds of the playoff picture. After the temporary shutdown of the league, it didn't seem fair to have the 8 seeds straight up make the playoffs, especially if the 9 seed, who may have only been a couple of games out, had played less games than them. The idea was a huge success at the time, and I think everyone thought it was a great idea for that situation. However, the NBA decided to bring it back this season, and as we approach closer and closer to it, the more it starts to look like a bad idea, or at the very least, unnecessary. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you why I'm not a fan of the inclusion of the play-in tournament in the 2021 NBA season, and why I hope to see it removed for 2022, because to be quite frank, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe. For more NBA content like this, I'm trying to reach 16,000 subscribers, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about the play-in tournament. Firstly, I will say that I did like the tournament last season, because simply, it made sense. Teams played a different number of games due to the shutdown, and that obviously made it more difficult to tell who deserved the 8 seed or not, so the play-in tournament was introduced to decide the worthy team to hold that seed, as again, records from earlier in the season were hard to decipher. However, now in a season where every team plays 72 games, I don't understand the need to have it. It's not like this is only in place for a tiebreaker scenario, or even in a situation like last season, where you had to be within 4 games of the 8 seed to qualify. It's just whoever finishes 9th and 10th qualifies for it. So you could really be 10 games behind the 8 seed and lock up the 9 seed or 10 seed and still have a chance to knock a team out of the playoffs with a couple of good performances. It just makes no sense and really defeats the purpose of the regular season. A team could have a great regular season, finish 7th, and be quite a few games ahead of the 9 and 10 seed. That's just how the standings may play out. But then, as they're 7th, they're forced to play the 10 seed, a team that in every other year wouldn't deserve to have any shot at making the playoff picture due to how far out they sat. The 10 seed then causes an upset, and just like that, a hard-fought regular season is over, and the 7 seed don't qualify for the playoffs because of just those 2 games. Again, it completely defeats the purpose of all that hard work that they put in the regular season, and it's why I disagree with the inclusion of this tournament again. This is not like last season. All these teams have had a fair season like normal, they have all played the same number of games, etc. It's what makes this tournament's inclusion so confusing, because it really just doesn't need to be there. Another big disadvantage of the tournament is how much it crams the schedule. Teams are playing more and more this season and resting less and less, and as a result, we are seeing more injuries. I know we were going to have a tight schedule because of last season, but this play-in tournament has made it far worse than it needed to be, and we are seeing the consequences on the players. It's reducing the quality of basketball we are seeing, particularly late in the season, and players are risking their health by playing like 6 or 7 or even 8 games every fortnight. It's ridiculous what it's come to. If the play-in tournament wasn't there, the playoffs could be pushed back a week or so and allow the games to be more reasonably spread out, but unfortunately, that is not what the NBA has decided to do. The big rebuttal I see a lot of people making to the claim that the play-in tournament is a bad idea is that it adds to the intensity of the last stretch of regular season games, but I have to strongly disagree with that. In fact, I'd say it takes away that intense element we love to see in these situations. Normally, if an 8 and 9 seed are very close in games 1, the last 10 games or so are amazing to keep track of, because they are basically all must-wins. There is no guarantee that they'll make the playoffs, so the regular season ends up meaning something. We saw that just a few years ago in 2018 with Minnesota and Denver. The 8 seed came down to their final regular season matchup, which just so happened to be against each other, the winner locking in the playoff spot. It went to overtime and Minnesota won, being one of the best games of the season. I kind of see the appeal in wanting to see that every year, but it then really defeats the purpose of those must-win games in that last stretch of the regular season. And if a team is in 9th or 10th and is clearly no shot of taking over the 8th seed in the final stretch of the season, why do they deserve a chance to make the playoffs? I get in the tournament they're at a disadvantage and need to win 2 games rather than 1, but I don't see the point. They played the same amount of games, so the team who wins more obviously deserves to have the 8th seed. The 9th seed shouldn't be given a second chance to try and make it. It's their fault that they didn't win enough games in the first place and just missed out. The only time I'd see this play-in tournament as useful is if teams are tied on record, or if we have another scenario like last season where they play an uneven number of games for some reason. Then I could understand it, and even then, the NBA has a system in place to determine who gets the advantage in a tiebreaker scenario. I'll be honest, it really just feels like this tournament has been placed into our game for this year for no good reason at all, other than a bit of a money grab, and it's really defeating the purpose of the regular season, in my opinion. Overall, I get what the NBA wants to do, trust me. They want to build hype heading into the playoffs, they saw the success of it last season and wanted to keep it going. But personally, I feel like it's been established poorly. There are no set criteria for how a team makes it, there's no must be within 3 games of the above seed standards that make it somewhat understandable. It's really just giving the poorer teams a shot to make it, which they really don't deserve because they're the worst team in the first place. Teams work incredibly hard in the regular season to make the playoffs, particularly those in the middle ground. For them to have their season taken away in a couple of upsets doesn't really sit right with me, especially since the other team already had 72 games to try jump over them. In a season like we've had, it is completely unnecessary, and we're already seeing some of the negative effects it is having on our game. It's pretty clear to me it should be gone after this season, but hey, what do I know? That's just my opinion on it. We'll see how it goes in a few weeks, and who knows, I might change my mind. But right now, like many NBA players, I'm struggling to see how the benefits outweigh the negatives. Let me know if you agree. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? Are you a fan of the play-in tournament or not? What changes would you like to see to make the idea better? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.
Hey, Mobs, that sounds wavy.